Hey, welcome back to another episode of the No Comfort Zone. This is Dan Brzezowski. I'm your host. Got some pretty great news. This podcast was just listed top 100 podcast you must listen to in 2025. I ranked number 5. So thank you so much for the support on that. And that's according to FeedSpot. I should probably pull that up. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up right now. It is, FeedSpot, top motivational podcast for men you must follow in 2025. Pretty amazing, actually. Super happy to see that. They reached out to me and let me know that my podcast is making some progress. And even though I'm very inconsistent, as you, the listener, would know, another company called me up and said, dude, if you were more consistent with your podcast, this show would really take off. And they reached out to me and said, we'd like to produce your show. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I have a call with them tomorrow, super early. So we'll see how that goes. But this podcast is not about me, even though I talk a lot about myself. It's about you and how you can hopefully learn from your adversity. And God knows I put myself through a lot of adversity. It's all been self-inflicted. I am probably the slowest learner in the room. But I'll tell you what, after I get my head kicked in long enough and hard enough, I seem to figure things out, and then I master it. So it's taken me 30 years to figure out a lot of stupid shit that I had to go through, but that's what this podcast is all about. I make myself vulnerable enough for you to learn my adversities, my life lessons, and I talk to you about them on this podcast. So after 30 years of the studying of personal growth, personal development, somehow it kind of finally sunk in after I tried every single easy way out. I'm here to tell you that I'm here to talk about my podcast with you. So here we are in today's episode. What I want to talk about with you today is, listen, if you've got a story about adversity and how you went from adversity to success, I do want to talk to you on this podcast. We are going to be going to video. I don't like to see myself on camera, but that's me getting outside of my comfort zone. And I want to talk to you about your story. Somebody recently hit me up and they had said, hey, listen, this is pretty deep, because he reached out to me and I think I'm going to have him on the show and talk about his books and what he's been doing. But I got to learn how to do interviews and all that and just figure this whole thing out. But this person was involved in a cult. And how do you get through, after being in a cult for a while, how do you get out of that and then maintain some sort of a life after that? And I want to learn more about this person. So before I have him on the show, I'm going to check him out, learn more about cults and things like that, and then have him on the show and learn about his adversity and now his success and what he's doing to help other people. And that's what the show is all about. So if you're interested and you want to take this podcast and you want to be on the show, you've had adversity, you have success, we can actually turn that into a book. And I can show you how I do that for people. And if you'd like to know more, hit me up, Dan@thenocomfortzone.com. But without any further ado, we're going to get into today's program and we're going to talk about basically hanging around good people and hanging around bad people and what that means for you in your future. I'll see you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Man, that was a long-ass intro. Sorry for that. So here we are. We're talking today about podcast. We're talking about who we're going to have on the show. We're talking about a lot of different things. But I want to tell you this. Somebody I'm working with right now just can't get out of their own way. And there are people, you get so familiar with people, you get so comfortable being yourself and being around other people that when you're trying to make a change or when you're trying to go upstream, there are people that do not want you to be successful. There are people that you're hanging around with right now that just keep you down, and they want nothing more than for you to stay where they're at. They're comfortable with you being you. They want your chaos. They want your drama. They want you to be in the middle of it. That could be in a one-on-one relationship. That could be your family. And more importantly, that could be your friends. That could be the people that you confide in. And sometimes what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to break away from that. And that's not an easy thing to do. And if you don't know my story, this is episode 544. And if you've just catching up right now, I had done everything that I possibly could to try to find the easy way out. When I felt depressed, I went to a doctor to get pills. When I wanted to have a good time, I wanted to have a better time, so I decided to drink. When I didn't know who I was, I tried to jump into a relationship. And when I was lost in that, then I thought the next best thing to do would be to get married, not once, but twice. When that didn't work out, I decided to get a divorce. It just became addicted to everything that was the easy way out. And my reality was always the same. No matter what I tried to do, I tried to escape. And that led to a lot of problems. It led to homelessness, bankruptcies, financial ruin on multiple planes. It led to isolation. It led to drug addiction. And then ultimately, it led to a point where I just didn't want to be here anymore. And it led to multiple suicide attempts. It led to a coma. It led to a brain injury. It led to a lot of problems, let's just put it that way. And I had to rebuild myself, learn how to walk again, talk again. These are the things that I had to deal with because I did it to myself. But one thing was tried and true is that the structure that I had from my upbringing, the structure that I had from being in the Marines, and the way I was brought up and my background did help me. I had that foundation. And I did realize that, you know what, if I'm going to find a way back to really be successful and get this chip off of my shoulder, I'm going to have to get uncomfortable in my life. And that's what this whole podcast is really all about. Getting uncomfortable, and truly just deciding not to be comfortable and trying to find the easy way out. And what I found out, what was true for me, and I hope that it's true for you, if you're looking to get out of the current situation that you're in, you might just need to escape the friends that you're hanging out with. The person I'm currently trying to help right now can't see straight. They're in a, as we talked about it on the blueprint, what helped me get out from major adversity, average adversity, which is the absolute worst. That's when you're just stuck at being average and there's no risk anymore. There's no life. You're just basically, it's like you're just flatlined and you're just existing. This person is in a failure cycle. And I'm thinking to myself, if you could just see how you can isolate yourself and go through the pain of being isolated for a little while, learn about who you are, identify what it is that you really want to get out of this life, do some self-reflection, do some journaling, spend some time just really reflecting and observing your surroundings and seeing where you're at. No stimulation from other people. I'm not saying to disengage from society. I'm saying getting away from toxic people. That's from anybody that you're hanging around with right now that's not helping you up. Anybody that's not helping you up, you got to get rid of. And those are the people that are telling you that everything's okay and fine, because everything's not okay and fine if you're well below average. If you can't sustain your life on your own, by yourself, you're not okay. If you have to be reliant on somebody else for your day-to-day needs, you're not okay. You have to be self-reliant. And your day-to-day needs is what I'm talking about. It's okay to be in a relationship, but if that relationship's toxic, you got to find a way to get away from it. And what happens is you're so comfortable being in that relationship that you can't see straight and you can't see what's going on around you until you break away from it. And when you can break away from it long enough, you can actually identify, okay, here are the comfort zones that I'm in. Here are the problems that I'm not identifying or I haven't seen before. Now you can make decisive and you can take action on what you need to do next. See, it goes the other way too. When you hang around people that are successful, when you hang around people that are working on their net worth, when you hang around people that are involved in community and are looking to help people outside of themselves, and you hang around people that are very giving and they're not takers, well, that rubs off on you. Simon Sinek, the author of, I think it starts with Now or starts with Why, I think is the name of the book. It's a great book. start with why. But one of the things he talks about is that you can take a good person and you can take that good person, put them in a bad environment. And over time, that person is going to begin to justify and do bad things while they're in that environment. You can also take a very bad person and you can put that person in a good environment. And over time, the behavior is going to change to do good things in that environment. But you just can't overwhelm that good environment with bad things. It has to be, the majority has to be good, if that makes sense. So one of the reasons I talk about this is because it's all too often, when we're growing up, you look at who your friends are and they say you can always tell how a kid's going to turn out based on who his friends are. You can talk about a lot of different points of view on this, but mine comes from, I could say, from drinking. I spend a lot of time with people who like to drink a lot. I really don't associate with people that drink heavily. It's just not my thing. And as each day goes on, it's amazing that more and more people are living a sober lifestyle. And there's more and more people that are approaching me unsolicited about a sober lifestyle. And there's more and more younger people, we're talking like, late 20s, mid 20s, that just don't have the desire to go out and get, hammered on the weekends. It's just not what it used to be. And I think that's awesome because you can learn a lot about yourself. But, when you talk about like this guy that I want to interview, who approached me about getting out of a cult and then redefining who he is as a person and learning all about who he is and, the trust issues and those things. And I hope you're listening to the show because I would like to have you on the show. As, having that opportunity to go through that adversity, learning about yourself, reinventing yourself and getting yourself back out there. Well, it's the same thing with if you're dealing with problems in your life, you have to deal with them, but you're going to have to change the circumstances. And I'll tell you one thing, the hardest thing for me was the longest time, the fear of being lonely. It wasn't until I got past my fear of being lonely, where I was actually really lonely, that I got to the point where I was comfortable being alone. I was kind of sad about it for a minute. And I'm telling you this, No Comfort Zone listeners, it's one of those things you just have to do. Kind of like fasting. If you've ever fasted for a really long period of time, and if you haven't, I encourage you to do it. Like fast for like maybe, let's say, the longest recently that I fast, I think if you've listened to the shows, I think a 96-hour fast or just over 96 hours. I did that probably, I think 3 years ago. It's kind of magical, kind of cool what happens. That's hard. But after a while, it gets to that point where you can keep going and you kind of got to trick yourself. And I think you should probably stop because you don't know what's healthy or not, or I didn't know. But after a 96-hour fast, it's, you feel pretty amazing. And what I want to share with you is that sometimes you get to a point and it's that threshold. It's like, this is really hard. I've been alone too long. I'm kind of like, is this all there is? I'm like sad and I feel like, then all of a sudden it hits you. It's like, I'm okay with this. You start to learn who you are again. And then I'll never forget this when it happened to me. Recently I was, getting sober and all my friends were out drinking. I had new people in the programs and I didn't know them very much. And I'm a shy person, believe it or not. Motivational speaker, sales trainer in the sales business. You could say that being a Marine would make me not. I went in the Marines. One of the things was to get past my shyness. Doing this podcast is getting me outside of my comfort zone. Getting in front of the camera again is going to be getting past my shyness. But I'm a shy person. And I got to the point where I was like, didn't really want to meet people in the program. And I'll tell you, it was, I wasn't very social. That's why I drank, to be social, because I felt normal when I drank. But here I am, just isolated and kind of lonely, watching movies. It's a Friday night and I got nothing to do. And I guess I'm okay with it, kind of down, but man, what a Friday night. I sure would like to hang out with somebody. And it was a couple weeks and then all of a sudden my phone rang. An old car guy called me up out of the blue and is like, "Hey dude, what are you doing?" I'm just kind of hanging out. Like, what are you up to? What's going on? Is everything okay? Yeah, man, just haven't heard from you. Kind of fell off the face of the earth. What are you up to? Nothing. Hey, let's meet at such and such and let's go get some, it was sushi. And I was like, yeah, that would be great. And, hey, I got to tell you, I've been working for a while. And he goes, I'm asking you to pay. I'm asking if you want to go out and grab some sushi. And Sure enough, we met up. We had sushi. It was a great time. He had a beer. I had a Coke. And we talked for about a good, probably hour and a half. We visited. We went on our way. And two things I learned. I was okay to be alone, but I was grateful that he reached out to me and called me. And I will never forget it. And that was about 18 years ago. I'll also remember how important it is to be that person for somebody else. That there's lonely people out there and that you need to connect with them. You need to pick up the phone and call some people because you don't know what they're going through. And it was a sad time, although I was okay to be alone, but I remembered the humanity in that moment. And that's part of living. No chaos and no drama, just raw feelings. And I think that sometimes we need to feel that. We need to get off our phone. We need to get away from the distractions, cut away from work, cut away from the chaos and the drama. And we just need to kind of be for a minute, right? Even with this podcast, just kind of unplug from everything for a moment and just realize, what's going on around you. Take the deep breath in, check things out, and realize that maybe it's time for me to just disconnect for a few days from everyone. Maybe check in with a few people that you haven't checked in with for a while, see how they're doing, and be a friend to others. Maybe that's what this podcast is all about. Because we're all in this together, and I keep saying it on this podcast over and over again. But if you take a minute to be a giver instead of a taker and get rid of the people that are around you that maybe are bringing you down, you just might find a way to be that inspiring person for somebody else. And that's really what I want to be for you because somebody did it for me, and I do want to pay it forward. So think about it. If you're hanging around a few people and you're playing it safe, as I tell my son, man, maybe change your friend group. Have people that will challenge you to be better. I want to be that person for you. I want to challenge you to be better. I want to tell you right now, go do something great for somebody else without getting caught, and don't tell anyone. That's a get out of your comfort zone kind of a moment. I want you to go and spend some time with yourself and reflect on who you are as a person and really understand why you were put on this earth. And take that minute and take that moment just to stop for a minute and check out how good things really are. And maybe be grateful for where you're at in this life because you do have a few problems that you do have the time to sort out. And when you think about that, it's pretty cool stuff. It's pretty good opportunities. At least that's the way that I see it. Because I'm grateful for the friends that I've had, and I'm grateful for the friends that I've lost. And there's a few friends of mine now that I don't have here on this planet anymore because they either overindulged, because they didn't take time to get out of their comfort zones, got too comfortable, and life just consumed them. And just recently, a friend that I used to work with, a young guy, about 10 years younger than me, just had a heart attack. I don't know why he had a heart attack. Seemed relatively healthy, but he did. And I'm talking, this guy was 95% of the time positive, happy guy. The world's going to miss him. And it's a sad thing, and people are sad that he's gone. I regret not spending enough time with him. That's what life's all about. You're going to have some regrets. But I am glad that I got to know him. And the way things are in the world right now, you might want to take a minute and take a moment to realize that what's really important. Well, let's start with the first thing. You're important. You need to take time for you to know that you're worthy and you're worthwhile. So I'm grateful that you actually had a chance to listen to this podcast. And I'm glad that you're a giver and you're not a taker. And thank you for supporting this. And if you have a chance, if you could, leave me a review, please. Find a way to put a review out there. Grateful that other people can check this podcast out. Somebody wants to take this podcast on and help me produce it. That's pretty cool. I've got a full-time day job that I do, and I absolutely love it. I like connecting with people. I'm glad that a few people have reached out to me recently and want to be on the show. I kind of still don't know what I'm doing with this, but I am glad that I get to connect with you out here. And I think it's kind of cool that I'm known as the no comfort zone guy now. It's motivating me to get more and more out of my comfort zone. And like I said before in the intro, if you want to be on this show and if you got a story of adversity and what you've done to find your success and how you're helping other people, I would love to hear that story. And I'm sure a lot of other people would as well. And I'd love to have you on the show. We can turn that, literally, we can talk about what I can do for you to turn that into an ebook, and I can get that published for you, and what I can do through the publishing company, Humming and Bumble. And I think it would be an exciting thing to do. That's a shameless self-promotion. But hey, until the next episode, as I always say at the every single one of these podcasts, I've been saying it 543 times, and it's going to be 544 times now, is, hey, you got to live each day, day by day, but today's the day. Get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.